Hey guys, so as I've been in Sri Lanka for about 2 weeks already, and I'm going to be here for another 3 weeks, I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and talk to you guys about what the requirements are to travel to Sri Lanka right now, and just what it's like traveling in Sri Lanka in general in February, March 2022, just to give you guys an idea of what it's like right now, what the restrictions are, how strict the COVID measures are, whether you need to wear a mask, whether you need to be vaccinated, and just what the general vibe is in Sri Lanka right now, and if it's kind of like fun and a good atmosphere to be here. So I'm going to start this video talking about the requirements to enter Sri Lanka right now. So it is 9th of March 2022 right now, just to let you guys know in case you're watching this video in the future. And as of a few days ago, Sri Lanka actually eliminated the rule that you had to have a PCR test to fly into the country. So right now it is actually quite easy to travel to Sri Lanka. I would say it's very much open for tourism as long as you're vaccinated. So if you're fully vaccinated and they accept any of the vaccines out there, you can come to Sri Lanka without even needing a PCR test. You can fly in from your home country without a PCR test. All you have to do is have a COVID travel insurance, which you can buy from the Sri Lankan government. It costs about $12 and you need to be fully vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, you can actually still come to Sri Lanka, but you do have to do quarantine in a bubble hotel. So they're kind of calling this like bio bubble system, where you stay in a hotel. I think it's for 10 days, you quarantine there. And once you finish your 10 days, you're totally free to travel anywhere in Sri Lanka. You can stay 1 month, you can extend your visa to 2 months, and you really do have freedom to travel all over the country, even if you're not vaccinated. But you do have to do that quarantine period at the start first. I think you are allowed around the hotel, use the hotel facilities, but you are not allowed to travel wherever you want, but you can do that at the end of your 10 days quarantine. Okay, so that has established that it really is quite easy to travel to Sri Lanka right now. I actually have a group of my followers arriving in Sri Lanka tomorrow, 13 of them mainly from Ireland, and I'm very excited for them to arrive. And I will be sharing the vlogs with you guys here on YouTube as we go on an adventure around Sri Lanka over the next 8 or 9 days. But I wanted to tell you what the general atmosphere and vibe is in Sri Lanka right now. So I came here 2 weeks ago, and I spent my first night in Negombo, which is a beach town north of Colombo and close to the airport. It's a very good place to book your first night in Sri Lanka, as it's very close to the airport, but also near a beach, and you're kind of away from the craziness of Colombo city. And it's very good if you are then heading north, like to Dambulla, Sigiriya, or Kandy. But many people also choose to stay in Colombo. I came to Colombo a night afterwards for one night, stayed in the Galle Face area. The Galle Fort or Galle Face area is a very good area in central Colombo. It overlooks the water area. There's a nice little street food market. A lot of the top hotels like Shangri-La, Movenpick, the Kingsbury, Cinnamon Grand are all on this one road, Galle Face Road, and of course the Galle Face Hotel, which is quite famous. So I do recommend staying in that area if you are coming to Colombo, especially on your first night, just to sort of get acquainted with the city. And then what I did is I got the train to Galle. The train only costs 200 rupees, which is like €1, and it's 3 hours to get the train from Colombo to Galle for a second class ticket, where hopefully, fingers crossed, you do get a seat. I wasn't so lucky, so I was standing for most of the journey, but it was fine, and I sat at the doorway looking out at the views. It was really, really beautiful. Galle is a really cool place. I definitely recommend staying a night or two there and staying in the old fort area. It's super weird because it's like this beautiful old colonial fort area. It feels like you could be in Portugal or the Netherlands because it was colonized by the Dutch and by the Portuguese. So you definitely get these European vibes, very calm, cute cafes, beautiful restaurants, souvenir shops everywhere, and really amazing sunsets. From there I went along the coast, so you can go to places like Unawatuna, Dalawela Beach, and then Weligama. I heard Weligama is a total hotspot for backpackers and digital nomads right now. So if you're looking to make friends and you're looking for a good vibe, then Weligama is amazing. Lots of cute hostels, guest houses, hotels, and also cafes, and also a little bit of nightlife. And then the beach in Marissa is absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful, one of the nicest beaches here on the south coast of Sri Lanka. Yet a lot of people decide to either stay in Weligama, which is a little bit south, or a bit further north, or should I say east, more east, is Matra. and there's a place there called Doctor's House. It's super cool. It's like a hostel, guest house, bar, restaurant, surfing community, really big place. They throw parties on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So if you're looking to like make a lot of friends and say you're aged between, I don't know, 18 and 25 and you want to go have drinks and have a bit of a party, then head to the Doctor's House on a Wednesday night or a Saturday. But there are lots of different parties and things going on along the south coast, everywhere from kind of Weligama, Marissa, Matara area, Unawatuna as well. You'll find different events happening different days of the week, so that's pretty amazing. I just want to take a quick break from talking about Sri Lanka to let you guys know that the sponsor of this video is Skillshare. I am delighted to be working with Skillshare and so happy that they are sponsoring this video. I love doing my Skillshare classes, especially when it comes to learning new languages. So as you guys will know if you're watching my Sri Lanka vlogs, I'm actually trying to learn Sinhala, which is one of two languages here in Sri Lanka. They have Sinhala and Tamil. Oh, yaginama.
Sabri.
Sabri.
Yeah.
I try and learn the local language everywhere I go. Where I was in Bali, I was learning Bahasa Indonesia. When I went to Iraq, I was trying to learn Arabic. And I think it's really important to learn the local language. This is one of the great things about Skillshare is there are so many online classes. You can choose which class you take, how long you take it, how long you spend learning each day. And there are some really great language classes on there. Now, not just language classes, but if you guys are interested in becoming a digital nomad and potentially working online and maybe getting paid to travel the world, there are also some amazing courses on there to do with copywriting, content writing, photography, learning how to use Lightroom, learning how to become a photographer, learning how to become a blogger, or learning how to become a YouTuber. So if you guys are thinking about maybe quitting your job, or maybe this summer you would love to travel the world, but you need to find a way to make money, do check out Skillshare. There are so many classes by fellow YouTubers and fellow bloggers. They will give you a wealth of information on how to get started and how to start making money online. I'm just going to show you here on the screen some of my favorite classes and some of the people that I admire the most that you guys should check out. So if you log into Skillshare and you search video editing, you're going to see some of the top classes here. Some of them have 8,000 students or over 20,000 students. And you can actually make a list called video editing and add your favorite classes to that list so that these classes are easier to find. It's super easy to find what type of course you're looking for, what type of classes. You can click on the individual classes by the different teachers and read the reviews to see if this is the type of class for you, whether it's for beginners or for people that are a bit more advanced. And if you do want to sign up to Skillshare, I actually have a link down below. So if you click the link, the first 1,000 people to click this link are actually going to get their first 1 month free on Skillshare. So check that out, and thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And let's get back to talking a little bit about what it's like to travel here in Sri Lanka in March 2022. After you go to Matara, say you can do a safari, you could head to Yala National Park, or you could head to Udawalawa, or you could head up to Ella. And there's this famous B35 road, the Elephant Road. We actually took this road, and you can take that road up towards Ella. And then Ella is pretty much the epicenter of backpacking in Sri Lanka. You will find all of the backpackers there. It's super popular. A lot of people stay 2, 3, even a week. It's a little bit cooler than the rest of Sri Lanka, but you will find amazing hiking. You can do Little Adams Peak, you can do Ella Hill. There's a zip line there, and then of course there's a lot of beautiful tea plantations and waterfalls. So most of the most famous waterfalls, largest, widest, biggest waterfalls in Sri Lanka, you will find in Ella or between Nuwara and Ella. So lots of kind of adventures and exploring to be done there. Lots of really good, cute restaurants and cafes in Ella as well. And like I said, a bit of a backpacker haven. So far from what I've learned, I would say Galle is amazing. Weligama is where you'll find a lot of backpackers, and Ella is where you'll find a lot of backpackers. Then of course you can do the train, which goes from Ella to Kandy, or you can just do it from Ella to Nuwara, which is sort of like a little England. Feels like a small little colonial hillside town, or an English town in the hills. The weather is much cooler. There's a beautiful lake. There's lots of waterfalls, tea plantations again, and a really nice place to spend a night or two if you're looking for somewhere a little bit cooler and a little bit more chill here in Sri Lanka. Then you can head on to Kandy, and then you can start doing the cultural triangle, as they call it, where you go from Kandy, you can go up to Dambulla, you can go to Sigiriya, and you can go up to Anuradhapura. If you're more interested in the cultural side of Sri Lanka, climbing Sigiriya. You can also climb Pirangala to get amazing views of Sigiriya. There's the Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy, a few other temples as well, and of course the ancient archaeological site of Anuradhapura, with the incredibly massive stupas, which are just really amazing to visit. I think some of them are almost as big as the pyramids in Egypt. So there's a lot of stuff to see. I didn't mean this to be an itinerary video. I kind of meant it to be more like telling you what the vibe is in Sri Lanka right now. So with regards to COVID, they do have quite strict rules where you are supposed to wear your mask outdoors everywhere. And the Sri Lankan people are pretty strict at adhering to this rule, especially in the bigger cities. So you will see in Colombo and in Kandy and some of the cities, everyone does wear a mask, yes, even outside, and even though it's 30 degrees, it's very hot. So bring a very thin sort of medical mask. You will find that along the southern coast and also in places like Aragambe and Pasikuda on the east coast, not as many people are wearing the masks outside, maybe going through the villages or, you know, walking into a shop, of course, walking into a restaurant, yes, but then you can take it off once you are sitting down in the restaurant, or if you're like in a tuk-tuk or on the beach in the southern coast. I'm just trying to be honest, like not a lot of people wear the masks, but definitely in the bigger cities, hopefully that rule will be gone soon, but for now it's definitely still a rule. A lot of places will check your temperature with this small little thermometer before going into shopping centers and going into some not really restaurants, but yeah, maybe like shopping centers, and spray you with sanitizer. And yeah, you need to wear your mask when you go up to the buffet in some of the hotels, and wear your mask when you go into the hotel. Again, some hotels are stricter than others, especially in Colombo. But really, like, it's definitely calming down a bit. When people were here a year ago or 2 years ago, people were still very uptight about COVID and a little bit scared. That's definitely not the case now. I think things have calmed down a lot here in Sri Lanka, and they're just really happy to see tourism again. They're really happy to see tourists. I will say that they're having a few economic problems right now, so you will encounter power cuts. If you're staying in a small, cheaper guest house, you'll notice the power cuts a lot more because they might not have a generator. So you'll lose power, you'll lose Wi-Fi, you'll lose everything for about 2 or 3 hours each day. If you're staying in a larger, slightly more expensive hotel, say like over €80, they nearly always have a generator. So I haven't really experienced the power cuts much because I've been staying in quite nice hotels. There was also a bit of a fuel crisis. I think it's fixed now, but there were queues of up to an hour long, sometimes longer, just to get diesel. And the price of diesel was skyrocketing. I guess it is around the world, but it was really bad here. And there was a shortage until a big ship of oil and diesel actually arrived into Colombo and now is being distributed throughout the country. And the queues are starting to get shorter again, thank God. If you had a petrol car, it wasn't so bad. Also a bit of a shortage of gas. And in the markets, the price has gone up for a lot of things. So it's getting a little bit more expensive. And this is all kind of a rollover effect of COVID and the fact that the economy did really bad for the last 2 years. COVID caused a lot of problems. There wasn't really any tourists here for almost 2 years. And the Sri Lankan people and the Sri Lankan economy really suffered. So not perfect. There's a lot of Wi-Fi problems. I will admit to that. It's a little bit difficult to be a digital nomad in Sri Lanka. If you're working online, you really need to go to a hotel that has good Wi-Fi or to a co-working space. So there are some digital nomad hotspots, co-working spaces in Unawatuna, in Weligama, in Marissa. Where else did I see one? I guess in Colombo as well, probably in Ella, but I'm not sure about that. But definitely on the south coast, you will find a few places with very good internet, co-working spaces or cafes with good internet, but not everywhere. This isn't Bali. This isn't like some other digital nomad hotspots. The Wi-Fi isn't great. There are power cuts, and there is or has been a fuel crisis. So definitely a few issues going on in Sri Lanka right now, I'm not going to lie, but still an incredible place to come visit. It is definitely getting more and more popular. Because Bali in Indonesia was closed for a while, or you had to do quarantine to go there, a lot of people were actually opting to come to Sri Lanka instead, and you can really see that. Like in the south coast, the hostels are full, the backpacker vibe is great, and most people tell you, oh, I was supposed to go to Bali, but I decided to come to Sri Lanka instead. So there is that. The food here is amazing. You can find lots of Western food, lots of seafood, and of course the Sri Lankan food. The local traditional cuisine is very cheap. You can get meals for as little as €2. And then obviously the price goes up if you're getting Western food. Okay, so I think that pretty much sums it up. That's what it's like to travel in Sri Lanka right now. You know some of the requirements, such as the fact that you need to be vaccinated, that you don't need a PCR test, but you do need to wear a mask. And there's a pretty good vibe and atmosphere and a lot of travelers and backpackers in Sri Lanka right now. But there's also a slight economic crisis and a lack of gas and petrol, and the Wi-Fi is not great. I think that would be my summary of travel in Sri Lanka right now. If you guys do have any questions, be sure to leave them down below. I'm actually going to be traveling in Sri Lanka for another 2 weeks, so I might end up doing another video like this at the end of the next 2 weeks once I've learned a little bit more about traveling in Sri Lanka and the different rainy seasons, such as the monsoon season on the east coast, which is about to end, and the monsoon season on the south coast that is about to start. So I might do another Q&A video in a few weeks, but I hope you guys enjoyed this, that it's helpful, and I do recommend that all of you guys watching this do travel to Sri Lanka, as it's one of my favorite countries in the entire world. Stuti, and see you in the next video.